So next we're going to do this fur area. So we're going to use the same technique. We're going to experiment on some scrap paper. We are going to try to get the color correct, and we're going to think what will work best. So this is all very light, so we could make lots of white, or we could use more water to lighten it. So we'll go back to our big brush. I'll fold this in half, this scrap paper, so it doesn't confuse you. So we start off with plenty of white, maybe a tiny bit of black because it's quite grey. Now, so that colour looks okay for the light areas. Maybe not too dark for the one, maybe too dark for the top of the head, but it looks okay for the medium colours. So I need to mix up plenty of that. Not got too dark. That looks okay. And start to paint in these areas. Now, the key is we're painting these areas in. You can use a bit more water. I know this area down here needs to be darker. And this is where it's important that you experiment on a piece of scrap paper. What works for you. So for some people, you might say, I want to leave that dry before I paint that dark part. For other people who've experimented, they might actually mix up a dark medium color like that and say, it'll look better if I work into it when it's wet. Because by working into it when it's wet, you get the colours merging into one another. I'm going to make it a little bit darker, and it softens some of the colours too, and you're going to get that effect. When you're doing this area, this looks like the darkest. So if we mix up a little bit of white and grey again. So this area is quite a medium colour. If we turn the paper around, whereas down here, it's a lot darker. Clean our brush again, take the excess off, try to blend it in. So obviously now we've got to do our dabbing movement. The other thing finally to remember, watercolour dries lighter. So if you look at this area, now looks a bit lighter, this will dry lighter too. So it may be the case that you think, right, well this needs a few darker marks on it, and the marks now stand out more simply because the background is much drier, but it adds a greater depth to all the detail, and ultimately that's how you're going to get a higher mark and produce a better painting.